All right, ready to dive in. Today we're tackling something that, well, might seem a little, I don't know, basic at first glance. Small talk.
Yeah, small talk.
But stick with us, because we're going to uncover why it's actually way more interesting and important than you might think.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at how to make those casual conversations really work for you, especially when traveling or meeting new people.
It's funny, isn't it? We kind of dismiss small talk like it's, well, superficial.
Right.
But it's really the starting point, the gateway to actually connecting with someone.
Exactly. Those first few exchanges, they can really make or break the whole interaction.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so let's get into it. What are some of the, I guess you could say, the moves or phrases that can help us have more engaging, smoother conversations?
Well, one that always comes to mind is think about when you want to start a conversation with someone new, like say on a train or a bus.
Oh, yeah,
Kind of awkward, right?
totally. Like there's that empty seat next to someone and you're like, do I say something? Do I not?
Exactly. So how do you begin? Well, there's one phrase that pretty much everyone agrees is a polite way to start. Is this seat taken?
It's so simple. But yeah, it's respectful, right?
It is. You're not demanding anything. You're just checking.
Not taking over their space.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's interesting. There's a subtle difference, between saying, may I, and is this seat taken?
Oh, is there? Tell me more.
May I is very direct, like asking permission, but is the seat taken is, well, it's more indirect. Gives the other person a sense of control, I think. Like you're acknowledging their space first.
Oh, that's a good point. It's much less pressure.
Right. And then if they say feel free, it's okay to chat.
Feel free. It's nice and casual, welcoming.
Yeah, sets the tone.
But then comes the tricky part, keeping the conversation going.
Okay, so how do you move past those first few, polite words?
Right, beyond hello.
I think one really useful strategy is what I call the how about you construction. So simple, but really effective for bouncing the conversation back and forth.
I have noticed people mess this one up sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
They get it mixed up with, like, how was.
Ah, yes. Classic mistake. The thing to remember is, how about you? Always comes after you've said something yourself. Not a question about what they did.
You mean, like, instead of saying, how was your commute, I'd say something like, my commute was crazy today. How about yours?
Exactly. You give a little information, then invite them to share their perspective. It's all about that back and forth.
And that back and forth is what builds the connection, right? Like, you're showing you're actually interested.
For sure. You're not just talking at them.
Yeah.
But then, okay, let's say you're really on the same page with what the other person's saying. How do you show you agree? Like, really agree beyond just a plain, I agree.
Yeah. How do you emphasize that? I'd love to know what you think.
Well, one phrase that I think really works here is, you can say that again.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely got more oomph than just, a simple I agree.
Right. Like you're really doubling down on what they just said.
And what's cool is it can have different meanings, depending on how you say it, and the context.
For sure.
Like you could be all excited and say, you could say that again. That movie was amazing. Or it could be, I don't know, more like, oof, the traffic is a nightmare. You could say that again.
Exactly. It can be like enthusiastic agreement or shared frustration, even a bit sarcastic sometimes.
Huh. That's so true. Such a versatile little phrase.
Yeah.
It's funny, thinking about all this, it seems like small talk often ends up with us giving away these little bits of our personal stories.
Yeah. Like little glimpses into our lives.
Right.
We share, I don't know, basic stuff, like where we're from, what we do. It's all part of getting to know someone, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And there's that phrase, what is it? I'm from place, originally.
Oh, yeah. Originally. It suggests, maybe your story has taken you to other places since then.
Exactly. Like it's not the whole story. There's more to discover.
Exactly. Leaves them wanting to know more.
Kind of like, this is where it all began, but it didn't end there. Speaking of little cues, have you noticed how some phrases that seem, well, simple, can actually make a statement sound much stronger?
You're thinking of something like, that's for sure, right?
Right. It doesn't actually give any new information, but it just makes the statement feel, I don't know, more powerful.
Like an exclamation point for your opinion. This coffee is strong, that's for sure.
Ah, exactly. Like, I really mean it. But beyond specific phrases, one thing that I think is so important is, well, being sensitive to different cultures.
Oh, absolutely. Something that's totally fine to say in one culture could be like a huge mistake in another.
It's like a minefield sometimes.
It is. And it reminds me, we were talking earlier about asking about someone's salary. That's like a big no-no in a lot of Western cultures, but in
Mhm.
other places, it might be fine.
Right. So it's not just about the words, it's about understanding like the unwritten rules.
You've got to read the room.
It's like a secret code to crack.
Mm.
Kind of daunting, but also kind of exciting, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it is exciting. Well, we've been talking about all these specific phrases, but what's really coming through is successful small talk. It's not just about memorizing lines, right?
No, definitely not. It's more like a dance almost. You have to feel the rhythm, adapt to your partner, be in the moment.
I like that, the dance analogy. It really captures it.
It does.
And I think that's why it feels so awkward when it's like forced or too scripted, like
Yeah.
trying to dance with someone who's just, I don't know, going through the motions, not really listening to you.
Exactly. It has to be genuine.
So what would you say to someone who's listening to this and thinking, okay, this all sounds good, but I still get nervous about starting conversations?
Hmm. I think maybe try to think about it differently. Don't see small talk as a chore or something you have to do. Think of it as a chance to connect, even if it's just for a minute with another person. That's a good point. Recognizing that every interaction, even a small one, it could spark something.
Exactly. It could be a laugh or you learn something new or just that feeling of, warmth, connection.
And who knows, right? Sometimes those little moments can lead to bigger things.
Oh, for sure. You chat with someone on the train and maybe, I don't know, you become friends or you start a business together or even like something truly life-changing.
Wow. When you put it that way, it really changes how you see it. It's not just filling the silence. It's about being open to, well, possibility.
Exactly. Embracing the unknown.
This has been so interesting. We started with just these little phrases, and we've ended up talking about, well, the deeper meaning of small talk.
It is fascinating. And the good news is we can all get better at it with a bit of practice and, well, just paying attention.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's give our listeners a challenge.
Hmm.
Next time you're in a situation where you could start a conversation, do it. Try out some of these ideas and see what happens.
You might be surprised where it leads you.
You might make some amazing connections. And on that note, well, that's all for today. Until next time, happy conversing, everyone.